Welcome to our deep dives today
Oh, cool.
into the lost cities of the Amazon.
Ooh, sounds exciting.
We've got some really interesting material to get into today.
Yeah.
All about this guy, Percy Fawcett, and his search for this lost city that he called Z.
I've heard of this guy.
Yeah. And we'll also talk about El Dorado.
Oh, wow.
So like the historical craziness around that and what those stories
Yeah.
tell us about our fascination with the unknown.
I love that kind of stuff.
Me too.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
What's so cool about this to me is how they blend
Oh yeah.
real history and that wanting to discover something new
Exactly.
and uncover these secrets.
Yeah, it's like this primal desire to push the boundaries of what we know
Holy.
and what we think is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and today we'll dive into all of that.
Okay.
We're going to examine the evidence
Right.
and separate fact from fiction
Awesome.
and try to understand why these mysteries
Yeah.
still are so powerful today and capture our imagination.
You got to look at it critically.
Right.
Right. You got to look at the sources
Of course.
and where people are filling in the gaps.
Yeah, where they're
Through
speculating.
their own ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's start with this guy, Percy Fawcett.
Okay.
He was a British explorer and cartographer who got obsessed with the idea of a lost civilization hidden in the Amazon.
Yeah, Fawcett was a really complex guy,
Oh, yeah.
a total product of his time. And his views on indigenous cultures were unfortunately really common back then.
Yeah, well, in the early 20th century, I think
Yeah.
you'll find this really interesting.
Okay.
Fawcett was super influenced by this document from the 1700s
Wow.
called Manuscript 512.
Manuscript 512.
And it describes a lost city in Brazil.
Oh, wow.
And that, totally fueled his belief that Z existed.
That's so cool.
It is cool.
Yeah, Manuscript 512 is a fascinating document.
Really?
Oh, yeah, full of
What kind of details?
tantalizing details and ambiguous descriptions.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of how,
Yeah.
historical sources can be interpreted in so many ways,
Right.
and it leads to these totally different conclusions.
Yeah.
Wild.
So what did this document say?
Well, it describes this ruined city
Uh-huh.
deep in Brazil with multi-story buildings and all these intricate carvings
Wow.
showing this sophisticated culture that must live there.
So they had real craftsmanship.
Oh, yeah. And get this.
Wow.
It even mentions these inscriptions that the explorers couldn't figure out.
Oh, wow. They couldn't decipher them.
Yeah, so mysterious.
Sounds like something straight out of Indiana Jones. So did he have any other evidence to back this up?
He did.
Yeah.
Like during his early trips to South America,
Yeah.
he found pottery shards,
Uh-huh.
earthon mounds,
Okay.
and what he thought was evidence of organized land management.
Do you think archaeologists today would agree with him? Or was he kind of
That's a good question.
biased?
Well, I mean, Fawcett saw this stuff as proof of
Right.
a lost civilization, but archaeologists today,
Uh-huh.
they might see it differently.
Right.
Remember, he was working in a different time
Yeah.
where everyone believed in European superiority
Right.
and that indigenous cultures weren't as advanced.
You're saying he could have been putting his own narrative onto the evidence?
It's totally possible.
Uh-huh.
He was looking for stuff to back up what he already thought.
Right.
And we all do that.
Yeah, that's true.
We find what we're looking for,
Yeah.
even if it's not really there.
It's confirmation bias.
Exactly.
This idea of a lost city really captured people's imaginations back then.
Oh, yeah.
Did other scientists think he was right?
Not really.
Yeah.
He got a lot of ridicule for his ideas.
Really?
Yeah, you see this idea of advanced civilizations in the Amazon?
Uh-huh.
It challenged the idea of European superiority.
Right.
It suggested that indigenous cultures
Yeah.
were more sophisticated
Than people thought.
than anyone gave them credit for.
Right.
And maybe European colonization wasn't this civilizing force that everyone said it was.
So his ideas were kind of controversial.
Oh, yeah, totally. It touched on sensitive stuff,
Politically?
politically, socially.
Yeah.
It challenged how people saw the world.
But he was still totally convinced
Oh, yeah.
that Z was out there.
He never gave up.
And he went on all these expeditions between 1906 to 1924
He did.
to find it.
Pushing further and further into the Amazon.
And facing all these crazy hardships.
Oh my God, disease, starvation,
Yeah.
hostile tribes, dangerous animals. I mean, this was real exploration.
Yeah.
No GPS, no satellite phones,
Wow.
just compasses, machetes, and pure determination.
That's incredible.
It is.
But some people might say
Yeah.
he was kind of reckless,
You
putting himself and others in danger like that.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, exploration has to push boundaries. Right. And that means taking risks.
Right.
But there's a line between courage and recklessness.
Yeah, for sure.
And Fawcett's expeditions definitely had both. I mean, he lost people along the way.
Right.
And he knew how dangerous it was.
Yeah.
But his belief in Z, it just outweighed everything else.
Like he was driven by something?
Yeah, like he couldn't escape it.
Yeah, almost like it was an obsession.
Yeah, maybe.
Wow.
And that obsession led him to his last expedition in 1925.
His most famous one.
The one he disappeared on.
Yeah, so it's 1925. Fawcett thinks he's finally close to finding Z after years of looking.
Right.
And he heads off with his son Jack and his friend Raleigh Rimmel to try to solve this thing once and for all.
And this time he kept his route a total secret.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, he didn't want anyone to steal his discovery.
Oh, wow.
Which just made things more mysterious when they vanished.
Right, because nobody knew where they went. Their last message came from a place they called Dead Horse Camp.
Dead Horse Camp.
Kind of a creepy name.
Yeah, it is a little ominous.
Yeah.
The name actually came from a previous expedition where Fawcett had to shoot his horse after it got injured.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
There's something about that last letter, though.
What do you mean?
That's just so eerie.
Yeah.
He tells his wife not to send a rescue party if they don't come back.
Wow.
Because he's worried about their safety.
He knew something was going to happen.
It's like he had a bad feeling.
Yeah, premonition.
But of course, despite his warnings, people went looking for him anyway.
They did.
And a lot of them died or disappeared too.
So many rescue missions, and a lot of them ended tragically.
Wow, it's like the jungle didn't want to give up its secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a powerful place.
Yeah.
And a dangerous one.
So over 100 people
at least
died or disappeared looking for him.
It makes you think about the allure of this mystery that just won't be solved.
Okay, so let's talk about the theories.
Right.
About what happened to him.
Okay.
What are some of the most likely explanations?
Well, the Amazon is tough.
Yeah.
I mean, disease, starvation, predators. Any of those could have wiped them out.
Right.
Back then, they didn't have good medical care.
So tropical diseases.
Yeah, and even a small injury could kill you in that environment.
Because it's so humid and...
Yeah, bacteria everywhere.
So they could have just died from natural causes.
It's definitely possible. Yeah. And we also have to consider...
What?
Hostile tribes.
Oh, right.
There were a lot of conflicts between explorers and indigenous people.
And Fawcett himself had talked about meeting tribes that were wary of him.
Yeah, or even aggressive.
So maybe they ran into the wrong tribe.
It's possible.
And there was that one tribe in particular, right?
The Kalapalo?
Yeah, the Kalapalo.
They were mentioned a lot.
In connection with his disappearance.
Yeah. What do we know about them?
Well, they lived in the Xingu River Basin.
Right, where Fawcett disappeared.
Exactly.
Some people say they were fierce warriors.
Protecting their land?
Yeah, but others say they were peaceful.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's important to remember that indigenous groups, they're not all the same.
Right.
They have different customs, different beliefs.
So maybe Fawcett met some Kalapalo who were hostile.
And saw him as a threat.
Encroaching on their territory.
Exactly.
Did any of them ever say what happened to him?
Well, in the 1950s, Orlando Villas Boas,
that Brazilian anthropologist.
Yeah, he lived with the Kalapalo.
Right.
And he documented their culture. And he collected stories from people who said they knew about Fawcett.
Oh, wow.
But these stories, they contradict each other.
Oh.
And there are parts that are hard to verify.
So even with these first-hand accounts, we're still guessing.
Pretty much.
Plus the jungle's probably destroyed any physical evidence.
Yeah, it's like it swallowed up the truth.
Okay, so besides natural causes. In hostile tribes, there are some pretty wild theories out there.
Like what?
Like that Fawcett found Z and decided to stay.
Oh, yeah, that he joined the lost civilization.
Do you think that's possible?
It's a cool idea.
Yeah.
But it's not very likely. There are rumors of people seeing him alive.
Years later?
Yeah, but those are usually just stories.
Right.
No real proof.
It's like the mystery itself is creating these stories.
Yeah, we want answers, so we fill in the blanks.
With our imaginations.
Exactly.
One theory says he started a cult.
A cult?
Yeah, and they worshipped his son Jack.
That's a new one.
As a god.
Wow.
What do you think about that?
That one's a bit far-fetched.
Yeah.
I mean, Fawcett was interested in spirituality and theosophy.
Right.
But there's no evidence he went full cult leader.
Okay, so those wilder theories are fun.
Yeah.
But probably not true.
Probably not.
What about modern discoveries?
Oh, yeah.
Have we found anything to back up Fawcett's ideas?
This is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Remember, everyone thought Fawcett was crazy.
Yeah.
But new archaeological finds using technology like LiDAR.
LiDAR?
Yeah, it uses lasers to map the terrain.
Oh, cool.
Have shown that there really were advanced societies in the Amazon.
So he was right.
In a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
His city of Z is still a mystery.
Right.
But we know now that those civilizations existed.
So it wasn't just a pristine wilderness.
Nope. It was densely populated.
And they had agriculture?
Exactly.
One of the biggest discoveries is Cuicugu.
In Brazil.
It had a population of like 50,000 people.
Huge.
That's bigger than a lot of European cities back then.
I know, it's incredible.
What did they find there?
They found roads.
Okay.
Bridges.
Wow.
And signs of large-scale farming.
So they were really organized.
Very advanced.
Do you think Fawcett would feel vindicated if he knew all this?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
He was looking for a grand city,
Right,
like something out of ancient Greece or Rome. But these complex societies, they're still amazing.
Absolutely. What if he had found Cuicugu?
What do you think he would have done?
Yeah, would he have recognized it?
Maybe he would have thought it wasn't grand enough.
Yeah?
Not his idea of Z.
That's so interesting.
It is.
Sometimes we're looking for something and we don't even see it when it's right there.
Because it doesn't fit our expectations.
Like we have to keep an open mind when we explore the unknown.
Exactly.
Be ready to be surprised.
Always.
So speaking of exploring the unknown, let's talk about El Dorado.
Oh, yeah.
And how it connects to Fawcett's search for Z. We were just talking about El Dorado.
Yeah, the mythical city of gold.
That everyone thought was in South America.
It really captured the imaginations of explorers.
For centuries.
They risked their lives looking for it.
This idea of a lost city full of gold really got to people.
It's powerful.
Where did that legend even come from?
Well, it's a mix of myth and folklore, but there's a real connection to an indigenous culture.
Which one?
Muisca people.
The Muisca people.
They lived in what's now Colombia.
Okay.
And they had this ritual
Yeah.
where their leader would cover himself in gold dust.
Wow.
And then go into Licuatavita as an offering to their gods.
So that image of the golden man that everyone associates with El Dorado,
Right.
it was based on something real.
It was a real cultural practice.
It's crazy how that got twisted.
I know, it's fascinating.
Like these explorers saw that and thought, oh, there must be a city of gold.
They wanted to believe it.
Yeah, they were looking for riches.
Exactly, and they misinterpreted this ritual
as proof
that El Dorado was real.
Like a cautionary tale.
Yeah, about imposing our own ideas on other cultures.
Right.
We see what we want to see, and we miss the real story.
Maybe the real El Dorado was about the Muisca culture itself.
Their knowledge, their traditions.
Not about gold.
Right, their artistry.
Yeah, they were amazing goldsmiths.
They were.
And they had such a rich culture.
Yeah, and sadly, so much of it was lost.
During the conquest.
It's a real tragedy.
This brings us back to Fawcett.
Okay.
He was like those conquistadors.
Looking for something extraordinary.
Yeah, something that challenged what people believed.
He wanted to rewrite history.
His idea of Z might have been wrong.
But
he was right about one thing.
What's that?
That the Amazon had these advanced civilizations.
And modern discoveries are proving him right.
It's pretty amazing.
It is.
When we started this deep dive, we asked if searching for lost cities is still relevant today.
Do you think it is?
I think so.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe not in the literal sense. Like we're not going to find Z.
Or El Dorado.
But it's about exploring the unknown.
Absolutely.
Challenging what we think we know.
And trying to understand where we sit in.
In the grand scheme of things.
It's about the journey.
Yeah. The pursuit of knowledge.
The mystery.
I'm leaving this deep dive.
Yeah.
With a sense of wonder.
Me too.
I'm so glad we did this.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was.
What mysteries are you still thinking about?
Yeah. What stories capture your imagination?
Maybe there's a little bit of Percy Fawcett in all of us.
Yeah, that desire to explore.
To discover.
To see what's out there.
To uncover the secrets.
That are just waiting to be found.